Hello, welcome back to the Podcasters Podcast. Today you've got me and Kane, and we're going to talk about the importance of high quality production.
Right, so this is something that, or a phrase that I use a lot, that a pyramid is only as big as its base, meaning, once you've started, once you've laid that first layer, you've now maxed out. It's only going to get that tall, right? And I think production is the exact same for your podcast, because you can have great content, and everybody says, it's the content that sells, people come for the content. If your production is lackluster, the audio quality is terrible, the video is terrible, well, nobody's going to stick around and listen to that. Do you know, bad audio is so jarring. And if I'm in my car, I'm driving to work, I've got my speakers on loud or whatever, and it's just really, really bad, or people aren't using their microphone correctly, or there's an annoying hum, all of these things that can easily be removed normally after the case with a good producer, well, that's really important, because your content can be the best in the world, but if you sound terrible, I'm not sticking around to listen to it. And to further that point, it's not necessarily just about your sound or video quality, but it's also your level of production. Now, almost everybody, or it seemed to be everybody, started a podcast through lockdown, right? Now, most of them aren't doing it anymore. There's probably a few 100,000 podcasters that are truly active. But what happened in lockdown is everybody started doing Zoom interviews, which was fantastic for independent creators because it means the barrier to entry was really low, equipment was affordable. Those who did have a lot of knowledge and expertise and were entertaining, they were able to get their podcast off the ground, without having to be a huge celebrity or having a big studio behind them. But now so many people are still stuck in that way of, I'm only going to do Zoom interviews. Well, you're going to get overtaken very quickly by those who are prepared to spend a bit more money, prepared to invest more in their podcast. Because the quality of the content is always better if you're doing an in-person interview. First of all, if I do a Zoom interview, like Ash, all right, let's do a Zoom interview for the Podcasters Podcast, 2 till 3 p.m. today, I know full well that after 3 p.m., you've got something else in your calendar. And a dead on 5 to 3, you're going to be like, great interview, I'll see you later. But if I'm traveling to your house or to the studio saying, hey, look, let's do an interview, you're probably not going to book anything else around it, just in case there's tech issues, if we overrun. And that means instead of having an hour with you, I might have 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And then I can select the best content. And when you're in person with somebody, your rapport is going to be better because, let's face it, we're humans. We like to interact with people. You're going to have more time before the interview to actually have a bit of preamble and banter with each other a little bit. Whereas when it's on Zoom or Riverside or whatever, it's just, cool, I'm on the Zoom, let's start. I've only got an hour, let's get this done. And it's more of a chore.
That's not meant, sorry to interrupt, I was saying that's not even including kind of internet issues as well, which is a massive thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even worse, I'd say, is just like that slight 2-second delay. And then people end up speaking over each other because they try to speak at the same time. Then there's big gaps, and it's that, along with internet issues and all those little things, it makes a massive difference. A large part of it, I'd say, is subconscious. People you might love the content, but if it's the quality of it isn't great, even if it's not terrible, but just isn't great, then you start to switch off or subconsciously not enjoying it so much. Whereas if something sounds really nice, it makes the content in your head think, oh, it's even better content. It's definitely a subconscious thing, but that obviously makes a massive difference to people sticking around. Good quality audio won't get people to your podcast in the first place, but when you get them there, that's something that will stick around, or it's at least something that could make them leave.
Yeah, 100%. And just think, for the audience, like the podcasts that you listen to, chances are those really high quality interview podcasts that you love, I almost guarantee they're in person. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to repurposing clips for YouTube and TikTok, for whatever reason, repurposing does work. And we've had a lot of TikToks and YouTubes from Zoom interviews that have got hundreds of thousands and millions of views. But if you're talking about an average of the videos that we've worked on, those that are in person and you've got more flexibility with cameras and lighting, the production looks higher, they will on average perform better. So again, you're thinking with the end in mind, what is your outcome? Are you repurposing that video? Are you putting it elsewhere? Do you want the best possible conversation with that interview? Well, then you need to think about doing it in person. And if you want the best retention of your audience, then you need to think very, very seriously about good quality video, good quality audio, making sure you're double and triple checking all of your tech is vital. Now, you don't need to spend a fortune on equipment. I'm not recommending that. And anybody goes to our website, put it in the show notes. We do have, a resource center with equipment. Most equipment we recommend is, a few £100. But it's important that you are using proper equipment. You are using headphones when you're doing interviews. You are doing as much in-person stuff as you possibly can. Because if you want that highest quality traction for your podcast, well, you need the input to be of the highest possible quality.
Absolutely. And especially when going back to the video point you made, if you're, say, using TikTok and your podcast is business related, you're selling your services through or something along those lines, are you more likely to invest in a business who clearly have high production, makes you look way more credible, makes you look like you probably make a lot more money, which means you're probably better at your job, or someone that's doing it over Zoom who looks like a startup? So you got to think the credibility of what you're offering on the back end, if that is you, if you have a service or business, the video quality of that, if you are doing video, and audio quality, of course, massively affects how people are going to perceive you. It's like a profile picture almost. If you have a profile picture on LinkedIn, it's a fuzzy old picture of you 10 years ago when you're a business coach, or you have a professionally taken one, which one's going to look more enticing to a potential client? Same concept.
Yeah, absolutely. We're judgmental creatures, humans, and the whole halo effect thing is true. So make sure you invest in your equipment and have great quality production. And if any of you in the audience that listening to this want help with quality production, what equipment you need, then our contact details are in the show notes, and we're more than happy to assist any of our listeners when it comes to having a proper setup that's going to reflect the high quality content that you're putting out there.
Absolutely.
So thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time.
Cheers.